Welcome to Blackbriar Gaming. In preparation for the new edition of Horus Heresy, Warhammer Community are going legion by legion, teasing us with rule snippets from the upcoming release. Today, we'll be looking at the 16th Legion, the Sons of Horus. Just a quick note before we get into it, as we're a new channel, a subscribe and a like really helps us reach a bigger audience, so if you enjoyed the video, please hit those buttons down below. Now, Sons of Horus. What are they about as a legion? It's a bit hard to distinguish sometimes, as they're overshadowed by the glorious figure of their Primarch and what's going on for the legion underneath. So originally their history is that they were pulled from these hunter clans and the slums of the Samsatian subplate, and the 16th Legion, who got their name Lunar Wolves after their pacification of Luna, which we get some really cool stuff about in the Siege of Terror books, actually. So the 16th Legion were famous for their sudden and brutal shock assaults, which is something that we see as, that's what the Astartes are all about, right? But the Sons of Horus really epitomize that. They've got this real aggression to them, but tempered with this pride and honor that you don't see in a lot of those more brutal and aggressive legions. I see the Lunar Wolves as the epitome of what a legion should aspire to. In 40k, that epitome is kind of, it's done by the Ultramarines, who are very, very practical, and they've got all that honor thing going on. In 30k, I more see the epitome of a Space Marine being the Lunar Wolves, and later the Sons of Horus, who are much more aggressive, and just brutal in their nature. But it's that controlled brutality, which is why I think the Sons of Horus are really up there with what a legion should be, or the Lunar Wolves, earlier on during the Great Crusade. Really, you could argue that once they hit Sons of Horus, the Crusades are coming to an end. They're also the OG spiky legion. So they set up the aesthetic for what would later become the Chaos Space Marines. A lot of the Forge World models, you can see that they've got all those spikes going on. We're seeing it with the new plastic Praetor that's come out, the big guy with the axe. It's that idea of spikiness. I really like the new helmets, actually, that we've just got from GW for the Sons of Horus. That new Sons of Horus, flavor kit, update, what am I looking for? Upgrade sprue, little box that we've seen. They look like absolute murderers, the Marines that are going to be wearing those helmets with the spikes on them. So I think that looks really cool, and I think it looks so much more brutal than just chucking a skull on it or something like that. The spikiness is really cool. I like it. So once the Great Crusade began, the Sons of Horus, or the Lunar Wolves at this point, began recruiting from the tech barbarian kill gangs of Chthoniya, which just filled their ranks out with these brutal gangers that were killing at an early age in the subterranean halls of Chthoniya. Horus II, found in Chthoniya, was the first official Primarch to be found. There was a sneaky other one, but more on that later. So this sets Horus out right from the start as special to both the Imperium and the Emperor himself. He becomes the image of success of the Great Crusade and forging out into the stars, and he just gets an amount of victories under his belt that is rivaled by almost nobody else. The Lunar Wolves, named, as I've said, the Sons of Horus after Ulanor, when Horus is named the War Master, were gripped by this big cult of personality, both within their smaller organizations, which were led by these ruthless but charismatic commanders, but more so their Primarch. They just absolutely idolized Horus, and I think so much of their legion is about Horus, and he shapes it to his image and what he's about, more so than any other legion, I think. They're best known for their pragmatism, their use of Terminator armor, and their great hairstyles. And under Horus's command, the Sons of Horus were the poster boys of the Great Crusade, and later the linchpin of the Heresy. Now, apparently, I'm not the only one that struggles to really define the Sons of Horus in a unique way, as their rules that we've gotten, they seem a bit odd with what we should expect from the 16th Legion and their preference for brutal shock assaults. So let's have a look at that and get into why I'm a bit confused with what we're seeing here. So their army-wide special rule, Merciless Fighters. It reads, during a turn in which a unit made up entirely of models with the Legiones Astartes Sons of Horus special rule successfully charges or are successfully charged, the strength of all melee attacks made against any model in that unit that does not have the vehicle type suffers a modifier of -1. Oh my goodness. Okay. It continues, models with the vehicle unit type and the special rule instead inflict an additional 3 hits for a total of 1d6 plus 3 hits, or 2d6 plus 3 if the vehicle has the super heavy subtype, on units composed of models that do not have the vehicle unit type when conducting a ram attack. What is going on here? So it's a bit of a mirror of what we saw for the Blood Angel special rules. the Blood Angels being that +1 strength when they're charging, but for the Sons of Horus, that -1 modifier is not only for when they're charging, but also for when they're getting charged. So it's working double the amount of times and coming into effect. Double is maybe I used that wrong because arguably a Sons of Horus army is going to be doing more charging than getting charged. But let's just say, as rules are written, it works double the amount of times, or double the amount of opportunities, if you will, that the Blood Angel rule works. So it's just flat out better. But more so, that -1 strength is better than +1 strength any day because of the impact that it has on instant death. This is huge, and it instantly makes Sons of Horus Terminators and Veterans with their 2 wounds the most powerful in the game. Your basic Sons of Horus Cataphracti Terminator, for instance, or Tartarus, doesn't really matter, is just instantly so much better than your opponents when they're up in a fight that involves instant death weapons, which is, it's not going to be uncommon because there's going to be a bunch of Terminators with Power Fists swinging them all over the battlefield. Primarchs running around with high strength. You get the gist, right? And the Sons of Horus just do it better. They just do Terminators and Veterans, Elite Infantry, better because of this -1 piece. So unless an opponent has strength 5, they're not really ever going to be instant deathing your 2 wound characters and 2 wound models. Nuts. Really powerful. This extra toughness, this -1 strength modifier in close combat also applies to Dreadnoughts, which is insane. Close combat, Sons of Horus Dreadnoughts are going to be absolutely terrifying. A good example, let's say an opponent charges in with a Power Fist, like, I've got a Power Fist, I'm just going to punch this Dreadnought in the face and be absolutely fine. Nope, no you're not. You're now going down to, well, let's see, is it strength 7 or is it strength 6? I'm not entirely sure, I'd have to read into that a little bit more. But you're no longer wounding that Dreadnought. Contemptors with toughness 7, you'd usually be wounding them with a Power Fist on 3s. Well, that's now going to 4s, if not, depending on how this is worded and how this works with modifiers before or after, if not worse. So, Sons of Horus Dreadnoughts, along with Sons of Horus Terminators, super scary, super powerful, super tough, really tough. And that's where things get a little confusing. But before I'm going into that, I'll just note quickly this ram attack piece. Once again, the poor Blood Angels. Blood Angels got that +1 to strength ram that we saw. Nope, not for Sons of Horus. They're getting an extra 3 hits, which for normal vehicles comes to about double the amount of hits you'd usually get rolling a d6. They just get double the amount of hits for their ram attacks, which is so much more impactful than +1 strength. Is a lot of ramming going to be happening? No, so I don't think we have to be too worried about that. But hey, maybe if you're a Sons of Horus player, you're loading up your rhinos with spiky fronts, and you just got a wall of rhinos ramming into your opponents just for funsies, just because you can, and just because you're getting almost double the amount of attacks during that ramming that anyone else is. Rude. It's rude stuff. But let's go back. So, toughness, right? This rule is all about being tough, and I'm just so confused why Sons of Horus got this defensive buff as their Legion-wide rule. It seems odd. This seems far more appropriate for maybe the Iron Hands or the Death Guard. This looks like a great Death Guard rule, who instead just turned into the most maneuverable Legion a couple of days ago, but that's another story for another time. The impacts to certain units and their way of fighting link to the narrative, so yeah, this is going to encourage a very close combat-focused army that's charging in and coming out on top, so that links to the narrative, but it seems like a really strange way to get there by making them tough. And Merciless Fighter, the name of the rule doesn't really even match what it's doing. It just seems weird. So overall, I think it's a really powerful rule that we've got here, but it seems out of place with the nature of the Sons of Horus. And furthermore, it's this weird, blatant, obvious improvement over what the Blood Angel rules are doing. And it's possibly the first obvious, maybe except from Imperial Fist aside, lack of balance that we've seen across the Legion rules. So I've just got a big why over this rule, but I'll move on. We'll get over it, I'm sure. The Blood Angels players, they may not. So let's move on to the advanced reaction, which is the other piece we got for the Sons of Horus. It's called Death Dealers, and it says a lot of stuff. Am I going to read it out? Possibly the first bit, because there's some weird wording here that I want to say. So it reads, this advanced reaction may be made once per battle during the opposing player's shooting phase when an enemy unit declares a shooting attack targeting a friendly unit under the reactive player's control, composed entirely of models with the Legiones Astartes Sons of Horus special rule, keeps going, that is within 12 inches of the attacking unit. Before the enemy unit resolves any 2 hit rolls, the reacting unit may make a shooting attack targeting the unit that triggered this reaction, increasing its ballistic skill by +1 for the duration of the reaction. Okay, then there's a bunch of other stuff, says you can't do it with ignore line of sight, there's some stuff around flamers, blah, 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 blah. I don't know if I'm reading this wrong, but unless I'm mistaken, the unit that shoots at the enemy doesn't have to be the original unit targeted, in which case this rule becomes quite good. If it's just a regular reaction, because one of the regular reactions that anyone can do in the opponent shooting phase is to shoot back at the enemy. This one has the qualifier that it has to be within 12 inches, but it does increase your ballistic skill by 1, so maybe that's how it's meant to be written, or interpreted, I should say, but the way it's written, and please correct me, write down in the comments if you disagree, but I think the way it's written right now is that the unit that you choose as the person being shot at, so you have the reactive player, the unit that you choose to shoot with does not have to be the unit that your opponent chose to shot at, it's pretty good. Some awkward wording here, lots of wording that may confuse people, may have confused me, we'll soon find out. But much like their special rule, this advanced reaction seems more at home in an Ultramarines or maybe an Imperial Fist army. It seems like a weird thing to have for the Sons of Horus. It's good. It gives +1 to hit. If you get to shoot with a different unit, fantastic. That's cool, but your army kind of has to be geared to take advantage of it. And your Sons of Horus, you're maybe going to be packing them with a bunch of units that don't necessarily have a lot of great anti-marine firepower, so might not get much out of this advanced reaction. So as I was saying, it seems a little awkward as well, a bit misplaced within the Sons of Horus. Furthermore, the extra qualifier we have here has to be within 12 inches. I think the opponent's going to be able to play around this if they really want to, or if they're even going to bother, depending on what can actually shoot at them. Because not only does your unit have to be within 12 inches of the opponent that's shooting at you, but you have to have another unit within range that you actually want to use to shoot with, and that's going to be doing something impactful. So, bit confused here. You're going to take advantage of that, of this rule. You're going to probably want to include maybe some support squads with some plasma guns or whatever else you want to put in there to take out some Marines, and have them nearby your friendly units to be able to shoot back when they're shot at. It'll be interesting to see the clarification on whether this is the unit being shot at that can react, or it's any unit in your army within range. We'll wait and see. Overall, I think the advanced reaction is fine. It goes up to good if it's any unit that can shoot back, but it doesn't scream Sons of Horus to me. So we've got the same problem as the special rule. It's just this awkward rule that doesn't really link to the narrative or the lore of Sons of Horus. And they had so many opportunities to go in different directions, and they didn't. They went with this weird toughness special rule and this weird shooting reaction. So, oh well, it's fine. It'll make for good Sons of Horus armies. They have all their special units and can do what they want, and they've just got these rules doing their own thing on the side. And that brings us to the end of our Heresy chats for today. Thank you so much for watching. Overall, these are the first rules we've seen that haven't quite nailed the embracing of the narrative of their legion, I feel. They're certainly impactful in game terms, but they feel like they belong to other legions. Let me know what you think about the Sons of Horus rules in the comments. Make sure to keep rolling those dice and getting hyped for Heresy.